Hi, everyone, and welcome to the first ever GraphQL in Space conference. I'm Manish, the founder and CEO of Dgraph Labs. Today, I'm going to talk about serverless GraphQL, build apps, not infra. Let's start with a story of the most popular developers in the world, Alice and Bob. They want a GraphQL backend to serve a knowledge graph of sorts. They need to first fit their data model into flat tables. Now, based on data from schema.org, a person type has over 70 properties. Movies, book, photograph types each have over 100 properties. And there are over 1,000 types of data in the knowledge graph. A typical app would use a subset of the properties of this dataset. How big of a subset would depend upon the breadth of the application. The more holistic an application is, the more types and properties it would need. The more types and properties it has, the more relationships could exist between those, which would then need more tables to capture those relationships. So they need lots and lots and lots of tables to capture all the information the world can throw at their app. Capturing something to the extent of schema.org could require thousands of flat tables interconnected with thousands of other tables to allow traversing the graph. But the database was not designed to serve so much complexity. They soon realized that queries are not performing as fast as they could, so they need to add a layer of cache. Then they need to write the code to do data retrieval. They need to write a layer of business logic, then a layer of authentication and authorization. Then they just need to solve a few issues like N+1 problem, query depth, scalability, replication, data consistency, backups, encryption, and search, and so on and so on. So you see, they need to build layers and layers of indirection to transform what they want to what the database understands and back to what they want. And it has to work across the various systems involved in each query. And remember, it has to be fast because users want speed. And if they need to change their schema, they need to add some tables. They need to remove some tables, they need to migrate their data, and then update all the layers above them accordingly. In all of this, Alice and Bob's speed of iteration suffers. Alice and Bob's story should give you a picture of the number of challenges a developer faces in building a backend. That's because backends today are full of layers. You have a GraphQL server talking to a backend server, talking to a cache, talking to a database. In between all of this is handwritten code which has to be built and maintained. Just getting it up and running is a big task. Then making it scale in production is even worse. And all Alice and Bob wanted was just a GraphQL backend. So they can focus on what they do best, build apps. This is the problem we set out to solve back in 2015. We wanted to create a fundamental transformation in how apps are built. We did not assume a relational database at the bottom of the layer. We went about building an infrastructure stack from first principles. A stack where a database works with the app, not against it. And to solve that, we started with a set of core beliefs. We believe in fast real-time applications. Data changes at the speed of light these days. Every millisecond counts. We want to enable developers in building applications with a snappy interface. We believe in simple backends which eliminate layers of indirection. Backends which enable application development, not hinder it. backends which can scale as demand increases and can stay fast and nimble. Backends which are fault tolerant, which can survive unexpected events like server crashes or disk failures or network partitions. And they should not need hiring an expert of DevOps engineers to keep them running 24/7. We believe in iteration and evolution. Performance of a software is not the only metric that counts. Speed of iteration is a very important metric in today's agile world. Backend has to be flexible to adapt to design changes seamlessly and without any downtime. Data models today are rendered complex by the underlying limitations of the backend serving them. So we set out to create a technology which can simplify data models and enable a fast iterating, fast evolving product. We believe in clean, lean code bases. We think with the right technology, most code bases can be cut down significantly. We set out to create a powerful query language to do complex data retrievals for the developer without having to write code. And by eliminating layers of infrastructure, we can achieve a much leaner, lot more maintainable code base. And we believe in separation of concerns. N+1 problem, caching, query depth, scaling to terabytes of data, replication, consistency, periodic backups, encryption, search. These are not the issues application developers should have to solve. These are the issues that should be managed out for them with a new technology. We believe in providing an incredible developer experience and enabling them in providing an exceptional user experience. So all of these beliefs led us to our vision for GraphQL. And that is fast, scalable, flexible GraphQL. Developers want to use GraphQL to build their apps, and it better be fast. And it better stay fast when the data size increases or the query volume increases or when they get on the front page of Hacker News. Our beliefs propelled us to build a whole new system which can provide GraphQL natively. No layers, no indirection. Things are impossible until they are not. And with that thought, today, I'm proud to announce Slash GraphQL, a fully managed native GraphQL backend infrastructure. The entire Dgraph team has been working relentlessly towards this for the last 1.5 years, and I cannot wait to show it to you. Let's take a look. I am excited. That's Slash GraphQL. You saw a glimpse of the features that Slash GraphQL provides in the video. And now I'm going to walk you through these. Slash GraphQL combines the functionality of many layers of infrastructure. It provides a GraphQL endpoint, execution of custom logic, accessing remote endpoints, authorization, cache, and a database, all in one holistic system. And being a native GraphQL solution built from first principles, you deploy a backend by just setting GraphQL schema. No tables to create, no relationships to specify, nothing to configure. One-click deploy. Getting a backend up and running is one thing. What we have learned from building backends for a living is that developers need to iterate. They need to stay agile and change things. They want to update a data type from string to datetime. They want to convert a single object to a list. They want to search by full text and regular expressions. All of those things can be done with just one click. Just update your schema and click deploy. How easy is that? I think it's very easy. We didn't stop at one-click deploy. We took it one step further. We created a command line tool which can let you create and manage the backends, update your schema, import and export your data, all from command line. With Slash GraphQL tool, you can create a production quality GraphQL backend with just one simple command. Imagine running your test suite by deploying a backend, uploading some data, testing your app, and destroying the backend at the end, all from your CI/CD. How cool is that? Very cool. Slash GraphQL comes with built-in support for live subscriptions because I really like apps which update in real time. Security is very important for us. We natively support authorization in the system. So as a query is traversing the graph, it can check whether the caller has the right permissions to access the resources or not. And not only that, being true to the graph nature, one can traverse relationships to resolve those auth conditions. For example, you can show your posts to your friends of friends without having to change anything in your data model or denormalizing your data, all at runtime, without any loss in performance. All auth logic can also be specified directly in the schema and deployed with one click. Now, we wanted to avoid having a layer of logic because, as you might have picked up by a presentation so far, we want to remove layers of indirection. So we built 3 different ways of executing custom logic for developers. First is by running GraphQL plus minus. GraphQL plus minus is a fork of GraphQL that we, Dgraph Labs, has been maintaining since early 2016. It provides a lot more power than the standard GraphQL spec, and it can be used to slice and dice the data in a lot more ways. Second is by triggering remote endpoints. These endpoints can be REST or GraphQL endpoints, and all of these can be mentioned in the schema as well. Slash GraphQL can then auto-resolve a query to hit these endpoints as and when required. And third, which is by far my favorite, is allowing developers to upload their JavaScript functions directly to Slash GraphQL. This JavaScript code can then be triggered by queries to run any custom logic that a developer needs. So all these 3 systems combined eliminate or at least significantly reduce the need for a developer to have to add another layer of logic. And it all just works as one system. Slash GraphQL is fully enterprise ready. Remember, A lot of the work that come from Slash GraphQL was inspired by our work at Google. So it has advanced security support, including TLS and encryption at rest, can scale to terabytes of data, and can be run on VPC. So you must be wondering, what's behind all this? Slash GraphQL is powered by Dgraph, the world's most advanced GraphQL database. It is the top GraphQL database on GitHub with close to 14,000 GitHub stars and over 3.5 million Docker pulls. It has been battle tested, serves terabytes of data, and runs billions of queries per month in the wild. And that's billions with a capital B. Dgraph allows you to break away from the table mentality and deal with types as just nodes in the graph. This hugely simplifies the data models for the developers and allows them to think directly in GraphQL terms. And did I mention Dgraph is open source? Yes. So Slash GraphQL is different from other hosted services because unlike other services, Slash is running on open source Dgraph. We ensure compatibility between Slash GraphQL and Dgraph, so it's easy for anyone to switch between the two. Any Slash GraphQL user can just make the switch with little to almost no changes to their software, to their own code. There's zero vendor lock-in. And if you're unhappy for whatever reason, we make it easy for you to switch to a relational database. So you can move entirely away from the system. No questions asked. But a backend is only half the problem. The other half is the front end. So after making deploying a GraphQL backend a click of a button, we took it one step further. We wrote a bunch of GraphQL apps. Simple, useful apps like to-do list, survey forms, and so on, which can all be deployed with just one click. So in one click, we deploy both the backend and the front end. And I'll show it to you in my demo at the end of my talk. We plan to write more GraphQL apps, which can be used to solve common problems like NPS surveys, discourse search, team directory, and so on. In fact, tweets.dgraph.io is one such app running on Slash GraphQL today. Finally, pricing. Our pricing model is simple. It is pay for what you use. Developers should not have to think about machines, RAM, disk, network, cluster, ingress, egress. They should not have to calculate how many resources they need, even before their app goes into production and they get some serious traction. So we charge users by queries performed. The more queries they perform, the more they get charged. The less queries they perform, the less they get charged. That's simple. Moreover, a simple lookup query should not cost as much as a query which touches millions of records. So we take a logarithm of the records accessed and use that as a query cost. So most queries, just to give you an idea, most queries cost 1 credit. And if you query 1,000 records, that costs 2 credits. If you query 10,000 records, that costs 3 credits, and so on. So now with that understanding, let me show you the cost of running your app on Slash GraphQL. There it is. All Slash GraphQL instances come free with 10,000 credits every month, completely free. Our standard plan is only $45 a month. So for $45, you can get 10,000 credits a month. And our premium plan is $99 a month, which gets you 250,000 credits. That's cheaper than a phone plan. So you get started with a free instance, then upgrade to a standard plan when you gain some traction, and then you go premium when your user base grows. So we built this plan keeping our users in mind. We want them to succeed with Slash GraphQL and only pay for what they use. I'm sure you guys would have tons of questions for me. So if you want to ask me questions, you can go to Discourse. I will answer all of those questions. I have created a small link for it, bit.ly/GraphQL-space-Manish. And we are also running our first hackathon. It's on bit.ly/slash-hack. That's your opportunity to create the GraphQL apps, which can be deployed with one click on our platform by Slash GraphQL users. So do go and check it out and participate. And for anybody signing up today, we'll give you 50,000 free credits to use for your Slash GraphQL deployment. So do sign up. And remember, build apps, not infra. Now, I promised you a live demo at the end of my talk. That's the end of my talk, and I'm going to show you a live demo of Slash GraphQL in action. All right, so I'm here showing you my Slash GraphQL dashboard. It only has one backend right now to a tweet site, which shows you tweets.dgraph.io. And that's the one that is running on Slash GraphQL. Then I'm going to use a Slash GraphQL tool. So in the next 10 minutes, I'm going to show you how easy is it to deploy with Slash. I'm going to demo you two things. One is the Slash GraphQL backend, which can store and serve tweets. And the second is to build an open source Surveyor app, GraphQL app called Surveyor, which will use to gather feedback from all the participants today. And both would be deployed live right now. So I'm going to use the command line tool here. I'm going to say Slash GraphQL deploy backend -help. I'm going to make some changes here. And it asks me for a name. So I'm going to call it GraphQL in space. All right. So this would take around 40 to 60 seconds. It's spinning up the backend. And we already have the GraphQL link here that we can use. And meanwhile, while it's spinning up, I'm going to show the schema that I'm going to set here. So the schema here contains tweets with the ID, text, user, timestamp, score, and streams. And the user here contains the screen name, description, followers, and so on and so forth. So on the right-hand side, our endpoint is ready. I'm going to use this endpoint, copy this endpoint, and I'm going to use this endpoint to update the schema. So update the schema would take in the endpoint and take in the schema file. All right, the schema has been updated. Let's go check it out. So I'm going to go to Slash GraphQL. It doesn't show. Let me refresh this page. And it has GraphQL in space. That's our backend. And let's look at the schema here. Great, that's exactly the schema that we had set. So now the GraphQL backend and the API is ready. I'm going to do one thing. I'm going to log into my workstation, which contains a script that I'm going to use to upload the tweets. It's going to search for the tweets live and upload them to the backend. Great. So it has searched a bunch of tweets live. These are all GraphQL related tweets, and they are being uploaded live to the backend. Now let's go to the API Explorer. This is, as you can see, that this is graphical. I'm going to click on the Explorer. I'm going to query for the tweets. Let's take the first 10, ID, score, streams, text, timestamp, and pick up the users, followers, name, screen name, location, and let's run this query. Awesome. So as you can see, we are able to see some GraphQL queries here. This is a fully functioning GraphQL backend. We are able to see the results here. Now, the next thing I want to do is to find the users with the most followers. So I'm going to go back here remove this query user, first 10, and order by descending order of followers. And I'm going to find their name, screen name, location, and find their tweets. The tweets are ID, text, and timestamp and score streams. All right, so we are, in this case, we are going from the user to the tweets. I'll run this right here, and great. And we forgot to ask for the number of followers. Yeah, let's run that. Great. So on the top, we have TechCrunch, and then we have Captain Scott Kelly with 5.4 million followers, which we're going to, and we're going to talk to Captain Kelly right after my talk. So I'm really excited about that. Now that's great. The third thing I want to do here is I want to search over the tweets. So if you go back to our schema, and if you see over here, we have the text here. So I can search over the text, but I don't have any search index. So I'm going to schema builder, go to tweets. I'm going to do the text, and I'm going to click on search and full text. And I'm going to click deploy. Great, it's up and running. So now if you go back to the API Explorer, I'll query the tweets. I'm going to search for filter by text. Now this is something new that just got added because of my update there. I'm going to search for any of text space. And let's put the ad, score, streams, text, timestamp. The user would have the followers, location, name, screen name. All right, great. And you can see our query here has returned a tweet which contains GraphQL in space. So we have around 4 tweets about space. How cool is that? All of this we were able to do with the command line tool and with just one click. Now, for the second one, I'm going to do go to apps, and I'm going to click on Surveyor. I'm going to click deploy here. Now, this is the one where we're going to deploy the backend and the front end together. So deploy. So this would take, again, around 40 to 60 seconds to spin up. And this time, it is not only deploying the backend, but also deploying the front end. And once it spins up, I'll create a survey that we can share with everyone attending today. And we'll use that survey to get feedback from you guys. So I'm going to set the questions in the survey and spin it up. And let's just wait for a few more seconds for the survey to load up. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the conference, because I'm going to ask you 3 questions in the survey, which is, how are you liking the conference? How did you, what did you like the most about the event? And how can we improve for next year? So now the backend is here and the front end is here. All of it was done with just one click. Now I'm going to take this, open this up right here. Cool, we have a fully functioning front end right here. I'm going to create a survey, new survey. I'm going to call it GraphQL space feedback. I'm going to add a question, rating, says, how are you liking a conference? I want this to be a required field. Add another question. What did you like the most about conference? And add another question. How can we improve for the next year? Great. So my form is live. It's right here. I'm going to create a bit.ly link so that everybody can see. So it's GraphQL space feedback. Save. Oops. Okay, let's call it GraphQL space feedback. Graph space feedback. GraphQL in space feedback. Yeah, that should work. All right, great. I'm going to copy this. Stickies. I hope you guys can see this sticky right here. So this is just an easy one. So it's GraphQL dash space dash in dash space feedback. So one thing I want to show in this one is, let's go back to our Slash GraphQL. Let's go to the backend here. I'm going to copy the GraphQL endpoint. I'm going to take you to Graph Playground for this one, because I want to show you subscriptions. So you open this thing. Okay, so you can see the docs, and docs already contain, it's able to like to do the introspection to create the queries for us. So what we're going to do is query form, and in the query form, we'll have the ID, the title, and the responses. And in the responses, we'll have the ID, entries, and in the entries, we have ID, rating, text. Yeah, close this right here. I'm going to run this thing. Oh, looks like we already have, wait a second, did I use the right? Yes, looks like we already have some responses here. So that's great. That's awesome. Now I'm going to do one thing. I'm going to show you subscription part of this thing, subscription, and I'm going to run this thing. So we can see live what's changing. And I'm going to go back. Oh, looks like somebody has already added their feedback here. So as you can see, subscriptions is working just as expected. All right. And with that, I would like to conclude my demo. I'm going to stop sharing right now. In this demo, I showed you how easy is it to deploy a GraphQL backend with Slash GraphQL. I think the developer experience that Slash GraphQL creates is unparalleled. And I hope you are as excited about it as we are at Dgraph Labs. And remember, anyone signing up today is going to get 50,000 free credits to build their GraphQL backends. So enjoy the conference. I'll be around to answer any questions on Discords. Thank you very much. Beam me up, Scotty.